All right, what's going on, guys? Back again, Simple Sports. Some more NBA stuff coming your way today. As I said, I'm gonna try my best to do 5 this week. Today, as I said yesterday, I'm gonna be talking about the Western Conference teams that I think could make the NBA Finals. Um, I have 3 with an honorable mention, sort of similar to how I did with the Cavs. Although they aren't an honorable mention, they are, I think, a lock as a team that could possibly make the finals. I think that's an obvious one, so I kind of left them out. Same thing goes here, except I don't think they're obvious, but they're one of those teams I won't count out, but I'll get to that in a moment. But first, let me start with the Rockets, okay? And I'm going to try not to spend as much time on this one as I did in the previous video, but let's start with the Rockets. They seem to be the fan and sort of media and analyst favorite this year. And I guess part of all this is having the story that goes along with the entertainment portion of sports. I don't know how anyone could see a healthy Golden State team losing in the playoffs, but that's just me. But Houston is the fan favorite this year, and rightfully so. If you put a lot of stock in the regular season, I don't. I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. I don't expect it to end any differently if Golden State is healthy. But are they good? Of course. But how do you elevate them past a healthy Golden State? For one, and two, given their recent history of flaming out in the playoffs, you can't ignore that. The Warriors are the defending champs, and to be the champ, you have to beat the champ. It's that simple. Or the champ has to be knocked off by someone. But you're not the champ till you host that trophy. Now, if you want to make them the favorites just from a pure basketball perspective and given the circumstances, to go for it. But I think we'll see that play out as it should. I don't think they can compete with a healthy Golden State team, and we'll see how KD and Steph and Clay and everybody bounces back from their respective injuries. But if they're anything close to 100%, I think this series is as good as over if they happen to meet in what would be the Western Conference Finals. The NBA is about stars. The more stars you have and the better stars you have typically leads to more wins. But we've seen it do otherwise in the past, but not as often as having stars on your team. It's just that's the way the NBA works. They play a lot of ISO ball. It's pick and roll, get the switch, and then go one-on-one, whether it be a 3, kick out to a shooter to stand around the 3-point line, or drive it to the hole. That's the way their offense works. And we've seen that not be the winning formula in the past for them and for other teams. So they've certainly improved. And they've improved defensively as well, but just not enough, in my opinion, to close that gap. And again, that is assuming that Golden State will be healthy once the playoffs get going. But outside of that, I don't see it happening. The other team I have is the Thunder, and I want to be clear, they aren't even a lock to make the playoffs. But if I'm not mistaken, right now they are the 5 seed or the 4 seed. I don't know off the top of my head. They're playing Golden State right now. I'm watching the game at the same time. But the bottom half of the West is very jammed up, and they aren't guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. They still have to ensure that they're going to make it. Now, I think they will. I don't think that will turn out to be an issue. So let's just assume, let's set that aside for a moment. I think they certainly have the power to the firepower to compete with the Warriors and the Rockets just on paper, but I don't think they have the necessary cohesiveness to play together and to beat them. It's going to take a Herculean effort from Russ every night, and they're going to need one from either Paul George or Melo on the other night, or each night as well. One of them is going to have big games in every game, 4 out of 7, in order for them to compete with Golden State or the Rockets. But Russ doesn't always make the best decisions. We've seen him make some poor decisions, take some poor shots, have some turnovers late in games. And this playoff run, I think, will tell us a lot about Russ. Russ got a lot of. I don't want to say he got a pass, but he certainly got a lot of sympathy last year, given the team status and the way a lot of people felt about the team. I thought the team played well in spots, and a lot of the reason why they didn't play well in other spots is because Russ, again, sometimes doesn't make great decisions. And fans and analysts are going to be ready to tear him apart if he has another air ball at the end of the night, at the end of a loose game, you know, or a turnover or anything that doesn't lead to a Thunder win. They're going to be ready to tear him a new one. So this playoff series this year is going to tell us a lot. Russ is going off right now. I want to say he has like 35 at this point with 8 minutes left. He's doing his thing right now, 90 to 89. But no Steph, and the Warriors are not flinching one bit. So we'll see. But back on track. The last team is the obvious one. Is the Warriors. And I want to be all the way clear here. I don't think any team. I don't think a single NBA team could beat the Warriors in 7 games if they're healthy. Now their health is a little up in the air right now, so we'll see if Steph comes back healthy and things get back on track. I think you can go ahead and forget about anyone else winning the title for this year, if that is the case. But I wouldn't be shocked if they had a similar run to last year. If they have more than 4 or 5 losses heading into the finals, I'd be more shocked about that, perfectly honest. And I think the team that'll give them 2, maybe 3 of those losses is the Houston Rockets. I don't think any other team could compete with them for even 5 or 6 games, let alone 7, if it were to go that far. But I do think the gap has closed a little bit between them and Houston, and which is why I think that series could go 6, maybe 7 games. I don't think it's going to go 7. It could go a competitive 6, but I think you'll see much like if you remember Game 5 last year of the finals, where it was like everything that Cleveland threw out, they gave their best shot, and like even Game 3 was similar. They gave their best shot, and it just wasn't enough. I mean, there was some poor decisions made, but nothing that was extreme in the finals last year. And I think you will see a series like that between them and Houston, where there'll be some minor mistakes, but it'll seem like so much. You beat a team by 4 or 5 points a quarter, you're going to win by 20, and it seems like a blowout. And it's really just 2 or 3 possessions per quarter that lead to that. But the gap is certainly closed. I'm not buying anything or anybody that could beat them in or before the finals or even in the finals. I just don't see it happening. As long as they're healthy, it's that simple. It's that cut and dry for me. And then the last team I want to talk about is the Spurs, just because you can never count them out. They're playing pretty well right now. No Kawhi, so I don't foresee them. I definitely don't foresee them winning the finals. Could they make it to the finals? I guess if things landed the right way. But again, no Kawhi, and as I said before, you need stars. Even the Spurs team of old that used to win and be in competition for the title every year. They still had stars. Tim Duncan was the star. Ginobili was a very, very good player. I think he's a star. I think he's underrated over his career because he came off the bench a lot. But Ginobili is no scrub. One of my just general favorite players to watch. But he was a star. Tony Parker was a star. And then they had a young star the last time they won it in Kawhi Leonard. So even the Spurs, with as systematic and as under the radar as they are in terms of media coverage, they have stars as well. But no Kawhi this year. Spells trouble to me in the postseason. I wouldn't be the least bit shocked if they made it to the Western Conference Finals, but I couldn't see them beating the Warriors. Maybe the Rockets. And I think that's the only way that they could get to the finals. They seem to have the Rockets' number no matter what, and they've shown the ability to make things difficult for them and for James Harden. And if you look at their last matchup, for example, they really clamped down on the defensive end. And the Rockets were without CP3, so that has to be taken into thought. But by and large, I think it would be more of that story in the playoffs if they were to meet each other. So I give them an outside shot to make it to the finals, but realistically, no. But again, you never want to count them out. They always seem to be in competition for one of the 4 final teams in terms of East and Western Conference playoffs or Western Conference finals. So it's hard to count them out, hard to overlook them, but realistically, no. So that's it. Those are the 4 teams, 3 of which I think more realistically could come out of the West, but 4 in total. The Rockets, Warriors, Spurs, and the Thunder. So we'll see how it happens, how it shakes out. Going to finish up watching the end of this game. Maybe talk about that a little bit tomorrow. But coming up tomorrow, as I said, I'm going to talk about LeBron James and why I think he is both the creator and the destroyer of his own legacy. And I'll explain that in detail tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.